People can grow older and still be stuck at the age of 10. So you want to ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn here? Life is full of stages. And until we learn a certain lesson we're supposed to learn, we're going to keep revolving around the same circle.
My name is Doyin. I'm a psych nurse practitioner. Welcome to Rethink Life with Doyin, where we unlearn to relearn.
The topic for tonight is what's stopping you from achieving your dreams. So I want to play a video first, and then from there we're going to go into the topic for tonight.
What is life telling you right now? What is life showing you right now? Are you paying attention to what life is showing you? Until we learn the lesson, just keep going around the same circle. When things are not going right, it is important to ask the question, what am I supposed to learn here? Pay attention to your life and you will see that until you learn the lesson you're supposed to learn, life keeps showing up the same way. It will give you different scenarios, but what it wants you to learn is the same. Start asking yourself the question, is life showing me? What am I supposed to learn? And oftentimes you get the answer. Maybe you're trying a certain way and it's not working. Let go to gain control. Times when you're trying to fix things your way, but life keeps showing you that, hey, that's not gonna work. Take a step back and just let life reveal exactly what it wants you to do. Trust in the process. It will show up. It will tell you exactly, and you will see it. That big mountain that you had or you wanted to take care of becomes so little. Pay attention to what life is showing you. Take heed and go from there. We are learning the same thing, but the experiences differ.
So that video that you just watched, that video actually I created it just in the beginning when I was still trying to discuss. I was trying to start my YouTube series. I did not know that I would eventually create Rethink Life with Doyin separately from UBridge Health, with us, which is a psychiatric practice that I own and I found. And I'm so grateful that life allowed me to follow that step. I'm sure most of you probably had, not maybe most. I don't really do, resolutions, but I'm sure some people do resolutions, right? They have a New Year's resolution and things they want to get done before the end of the year. It is very important that we always reflect, right? Always think back to where we are and where we are now, where we were and where we are now. So, I mean, the question is, right, have we really achieved the goals and dreams that we really had in mind, right? It's really important that, we reflect on that. If we have not done the dreams or we have not achieved the goals that we had in mind, what is stopping us, right? What stopped us from achieving those dreams? Myself, I don't really do resolutions. I like to live my life based off like what is going to happen the next second. I have ideas of what I hope to achieve for life, but at the same time, I let life reveal itself one step at a time. So everybody lives their life from different angles, right? I try not to be anxious of like tomorrow. If I have if I want to be healthy, then my goal is to try to ensure that I do that at least weekly or daily, or, every moment in every decision that I make. So, so depending on what it is, right? We'll probably have a list of things we want to accomplish. So I think it's ideal to write down things we want to accomplish, and then we can go ahead and, see how, and like if you write down the things you want to accomplish, then just, work on the mindfulness of trying to achieve that goal daily. We want to identify the barriers of achieving our dreams, right? We've acknowledged the end of the year, right? We've discussed about that. And now we're going to discuss on some, we're going to go ahead and talk about some personal reflection. So last week I spoke to you guys about, I asked the question, I asked the crew, I asked my followers, I asked them, can you be what you want to be? And then and most of them said, yes, you can be what you want to be. And I'm going to be, very clear, right? So yes, we can attempt to go ahead and do what we think we want to do, right? We can go ahead and dabble into it. But the real question is, are we going to find fulfillment or joy in doing what we think we should do or what we think, we want to do, right? It's very important. And what the answer that I gave them is, you can go ahead and dabble and try to figure out what you want to be, right? Can you be what you want to be? You can go ahead. God gives us free will to go ahead and try things out, right? But doesn't mean that we will find fulfillment in trying things out. Sometimes we go ahead and try things. We are like experimenting, and we keep experimenting because we're not sure like what we should venture into. Most it's very the analogy. I'm going to give you an analogy of a phone. But what I really told them at the end of the conversation was that we are actually not really we're not becoming what, like, when it comes to becoming, right? You can be what you want, but when it comes to becoming, you'll become what you're designed to be. And it's really like it's very profound because yes, you are going to be like, you have to ask yourself, what is your design? Everybody has a design. I have a design. You have a design. But have you figured out what your design is? Think about it. We were manufactured just like you manufacture a phone, right? Or you build a home. Like, what is your design? Or are we just going ahead and playing, trial and error in trying to figure out what is our design? So, what is your design? Have you reflected upon that? Right? Have we really paid attention to our own personal design? Right? Are we certain of, like, for example, are we really the decisions we make? Are we the ones making the decisions, or is it that the design within us is what actually, or better yet, the design we are and also within us, is that what's gravitating or creating a magnetic attraction for us to go for a particular thing over the other? Why is it that you like a certain job than the other? Why is it that you go ahead and study a certain degree versus the other? Why is it that you like to live in a certain home versus a certain neighborhood? Right? So it's sometimes, so you have to pay attention what your design is. For example, somebody else's design could be engineering. Somebody else's design could be medicine. Somebody else's design could be cosmetic. Somebody else's design could be, public speaking or inspirational speaking. Somebody else could be design could be cooking. Somebody else's design is bakery, right? And the thing is that, don't get it wrong. Most of the time, I'm not saying it's just that one particular career path. There's a lot of things that contains when it comes to our design. Most of the time, people are really, when we're doing a lot of trial and error. I'm going to give you an example of what I'm referring to. Okay, let's talk about, for example, iPhone. iPhone is manufactured by Apple, right? And Apple, for example, most of us when we get the iPhone, we don't read the manual. Most of us don't. We open the phone, click on it, and we open it and we get started and we start working at it. Most of us, that's what we do. We don't go ahead and read the manual from top to bottom to try to understand what are the things we should do, what are the things we should not do. Now think of yourself as the iPhone. Now, the funniest thing is that, yes, the manufacturer, right, the Apple company, they're the only one that really understands, or the engineers, they're the only one that understand what this, like, all of the capabilities of this phone. What we are doing is we're doing a lot of trial and error. We try this, oh, that works. Oh, we try that, oh, that doesn't work. Oh, okay, that works now, right? And sometimes we can go ahead and click a phone, and and for some reason, maybe we might press a certain button. Before you know it, we go ahead and press the wrong button, right? Or we go ahead and cause the phone to reboot or shut down. So it's just the same. Like, we are literally in this life, right? We are manufactured. We are this being, and we're manufactured. Most of us, right? We're not thinking or reflecting as to our design, right? How is this product, how are we designed? Most of the time we're doing a lot of try and error with life. But one thing that is very different in the way that the iPhone is manufactured and versus the way we are manufactured is that, and I believe in God, so I'm going to talk about this part, right? Whatever you believe in, or, for me, I believe in a creator. So I hope people that watch my show absolutely also believe in that, right? But I'm not about religion and all that stuff. Everybody can figure themselves out. But for me, right, the way I believe, what I know for certain, and I know is true, is that now think of like having an iPhone, right? And the manufacturer, right, they did create the manufacturer knows everything. But in this case, the iPhone it doesn't have what we have. And maybe in the future it will have that. But one thing that the manufacturer created is that apart from the inbuilt, like, whatever capabilities that the phone can do or capabilities you can do, which are your gifts, right? Apart from all that, another thing that the manufacturer did is create like an AI assistant. So what do I mean by that? So, for example, it's like you have on this phone, but then there is something in there that can literally guide you and say, okay, this is the right thing you need to do. You need to gravitate towards that. This is what you need to do. This is not what this is. Oh, that's not going to work out for you. Now we have that. We have that AI assistant within this phone, right? Better yet, think about it like we don't have it right now in this phone. But I'm just saying, Imagine you having that. That's like, think of yourself as phone in this case, but now you have an AI assistant. Okay, everyone has that. Everyone has that conscious feel. Everybody knows what it feels to do right or wrong, right? We can go ahead and choose to ignore it. We know when our mind is saying don't go there, right? But we go ahead and say, you know what, I want to do my own thing and I want to go ahead and do it. So now it's in. I know you're probably wondering, how is this pertaining to what's stopping you from achieving your dream? I'll explain by the end or in the middle, okay? So you guys will understand. So back to what I'm saying, right? So the manufacturer in this case created like an AI assistant that guides us in every decision we make. The AI assistant, right, is your conscious spirit. But most of the time, we think we are the ones. Think about it. We think we are the ones directing our path. We think that we're the one choosing. Sometimes you can be the choosing that you think you're choosing. It could literally be you just experimenting. It's like pressing the buttons without necessarily having an AI assistant. So remember what I told you. Sometimes you press the button may work. Sometimes you press the button doesn't work. And sometimes you press the button, you shut it down. Okay, now think about your life. Most of us are really just pressing buttons. We're experimenting. Oh, this is what's going in vogue. Phew, let me go ahead and do that. Oh, this is this is the new trend. Boom, let me go do that. Oh, psych practitioners are making money. Boom, let me go do that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, real estate. I'm not saying don't do real estate, but I'm just saying, oh, you know what? They said being a real estate manager is what's trending right now. Boom, we go do that. Ooh, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the next thing now. Boom, we go do that. Oh, Forex. Forex is the next thing. Boom, everybody's just boom, boom, boom. And you're going to lose and gain, okay? Not everybody that ventures into these things are going to be great at it. It is because we're not paying attention to our design. It's very important that you pay attention to what design are you. We have to reflect. So let me give you an example. This is almost like a deja vu. I'm sure in your life you have there has been a time in your life, and I've felt this. I've felt this before. There's been a time in your life and you felt like, oh my goodness, it feels like deja vu. It feels like I've been here before. It feels like this is happening all over again. Sometimes people will feel, oh, that's coincidental, or it could be, oh, whatever that is, however you just explain it to yourself, right? Am I correct in that? So we think that things are happening coincidentally, deja vu, but is it really though? Is it really? Let's think about it. This is very interesting because it's very important that we go ahead and pay attention to what is going on in our lives. When you notice the deja vu, sometimes do you feel like you are in a loop? Do you feel like you're kind of going in the same circle over and over again? It feels like the same things are happening in your life over and over again. I bet you, I know I'm not the only one. And you can just go ahead and comment that. If you can say yes, because I know I'm not the only one. You feel like things are happening over and over in the same way. Whenever that happens, you want to pay attention to that. Because one thing I've discovered and one thing I've recognized, and based on my own reflection, is that deja vu, it's really not. It's really, maybe let's think about it as deja vu. But literally, what you need to pay attention is, what am I supposed to learn here? There is something that you're supposed to learn and you have not learned yet. Life is full of stages. And until we learn a certain lesson we're supposed to learn, we're going to keep revolving around the same circle over and over and over and over again. So it's not about you're growing older. You're growing older, that's on you. People can grow older and still be stuck at the age of 10. People can be growing older in age and still be stuck at the age of 6. People can be growing older and still be stuck at the age of 2, 1, 3. So you want to ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn here? There is something you're supposed to learn because you have not learned that. And the craziest thing is, it's going to show up in different ways, different angles in your life. Until you learn that lesson, you're not going to move up to the next stage. This applies to me. Nobody's above this. We have to be more conscious. The next thing is the consequences of ignoring our design. Let's say your design is to be an accountant, because that is not just about the job or career role. It also has to do with the lifestyle you want to live, right? It also has to do with what God wants you to be for the future, what he wants you to change in the world. For example, people will be like, oh, they fired me from that job. They fired you from the first job. They fired you from the second job. They fired you from the third job. You want to go ahead and sit down and ask yourself, okay, what is the reason this is happening to me? That happened to me. I wasn't fired, but either way, well, actually, well, I don't even know if I wasn't fired, but I was let go of a case when I was a nurse. Sometimes when you work in home care, you are they tell you to move on to another case, right? Because whatever situation that happens in that home. And I kept on encountering this, even though I was going above and beyond in some cases. But every time those things were happening to me, I had to think, and I'm saying, okay, I know I'm a good nurse. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. But why is it that these things are happening to me? For example, one time I went to somebody's home and they were like, oh, I stole a bottle of water. Can you imagine me stealing a bottle of water? Like, come on, And funny enough, I was the one that gave them the bottle of water. So for me, those kind of situations were occurring, and I'm like, I know I wasn't at fault for anything that happened, but then I had to but I was also at one point in time I realized I'm like, these things keep happening to me. For me, I took it as God is trying to send me a message. For me, it was like, this is not where you're supposed to be. So a lot of those things happened and then led me to where I'm going. And this is why, when I think back to, like I eventually, became a DON and everything. But you know what's funny? Those experiences that I went through helped me understand people's mind, what they're saying and what they're not saying. So those things that happen in your life, absolutely, they happen for a reason. I get that. But at the same time, I want you to go ahead and reflect. Because the thing is that when I reflected and I look backward, my design wasn't meant for that. My design wasn't meant for that. I was pushed out because of a certain design that I'm made of. That I try to apply for hospitals. They were, and I did apply, right? And even that one too, I was right. I told them I resigned. I was the last woman standing. All of us that came into that, that hospital, I was the last person standing. And I was like, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna push. Guess what? At the end of the day, I cried and I was like, you know what? This is crazy. And I had to tender my resignation. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this. And for me, discovering, like when I did the DON, the guy was like, you're naturally good at this. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. Right. I was also like a senior class president when I was in college. And I was just like, I recognize that I'm very good when it comes to working by myself. I love autonomy. I also recognize that I like to I like to come up with ideas of how to fix things. I can understand people when they're speaking and what they're not telling me. There was a lot of things that I recognized about myself. I thought back to where, why do I like a certain job? Why do I hate a certain job? Why do I hate a certain department? Why do I gravitate towards a certain department? Then through nursing, I gravitated towards administrative, and I was doing really great. Like I got awards and all that stuff. So it's because, and then from doing that, then I discovered myself a little bit more, right? I'm someone that gets very bored. Let me tell you something. I get very easily bored with a job that is repetitive. When I think back to nursing, right, even though there's some changes here and there, for me, it was kind of like the same repetition. That's not my design. I like things that kind of give me that thing that's making my brain kind of like think all of the above, like, strategy, analyzing. I like stuff like that. So what is your design? And then like I've done this thing with my, people in my practice at Hubridge Health. And literally, like some people, when they do this thing, like the whole finding your niche, finding your niche is about finding your design. Discovering your purpose is also about finding your design, using your design for now the goodwill for life. That's what it's about. I'm not saying so let me go here before I go into this topic. So what I'm saying to you is that, when I think back now, all those things that happened to me, it was all for God's purpose, right? And that's just a little glimpse of some things. But literally, when you look back, it makes sense. Looking forward, it does not make sense. It's like life just reveals one step at a time. Looking backward, it makes sense when you think about it. But the problem is that most of us are not paying attention. We're just literally, it's like a phone you open and we're just trying and error. When you should be paying attention to your design. discover your design, and then there wouldn't be so much trial and error. When you ignore your design, right, it's so crazy because I know sometimes people want to say, I get it. We say, oh, it's God's will. This is what I was saying, right? It's God's will. God wants it to be that way. But sincerely speaking, though, I wouldn't tell you that that is all the way true. Actually, I've experienced this in my life. It's like the spirit tells me to do something. The conscious guide tells me to do something, and I ignore it. And I go ahead and do what I want to do. We are actually, right? It kind of sounds crazy, but not saying like, everything that happens in life is because of our fault. But literally, though, for the most part, we have to pay attention to our inner God and what it tells us to do. If it tells you don't go there, don't go there. If it tells you to leave, leave immediately. If it tells you, go ahead and do this, do that immediately. Don't, so you have to lean on your conscious guide because it's not gonna, it's like I would tell people, it's like that red dress you wear and it just feels right. It's the right thing for you. Everybody has, it's so everybody has that thing within them. We all have that conscious guide within us. So if we go ahead and steer away from the guide, right, and we go ahead and keep trying our way, try and error, instead of following our design, yes, we're going to have a lot of stress in our lives. We have a role to play when it comes to the stress that we bring onto ourselves in our lives. Think about it. If you go ahead and do something that is threatening, but you're not designed for it, think about it. Imagine someone goes ahead and do, let's say, I go ahead and do tech. Imagine I go do tech, and I'm not designed to do tech. Do you see how frustrated I will be? Do you see how or frustrated you will be if you're not designed for that? Imagine, you go ahead and do tech. You're not designed for that. You're not built for that. That's not what your gift is. But you go ahead and try it, and now you're struggling because you can't get it right. Everybody else, maybe someone in your class is like, woo, the wizard, and you're not. You're feeling down. You're feeling anxious. You feel sad. You feel unhappy with your life. You're working like an elephant only to make like breadcrumbs. When you are actually designed maybe for the kitchen, to be a chef or to be a cook, you must figure out your design. Be what you're supposed to be. Do things that are easy and natural to you, and then refine it. A lot of us, we got to follow that inner guide. The role of free will and inner guidance, right? The balance between free will and divine design, we already expressed that. We have to understand that we have the power to make choices within our design, right? I spoke about the AI assistant, right? I spoke about that, the analogy of the iPhone and its manufacturer. We are technically like an iPhone, but in this case, we have an AI assistant that guides us into, when it comes to making our decisions. So now, let's go talk about a little bit more about, I spoke about inner guidance, self-discovery, mindfulness, right? Being mindful in our decision making, because life it's like a flower, a petal. It literally reveals one petal at a time. Discover your individual design. When it comes to what's stopping you from achieving your dream, right? It is very important to understand and embrace your personal design. That is very crucial. It is very crucial for fulfillment. You can go ahead and try to be what you think you want to be, but does not mean you'll find fulfillment in that. But when you do what you're designed to be, you will find the fulfillment, right? And it's not. Don't get it wrong. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's easier than doing something you're not designed to be. So I want you guys to reflect on your design and make some proactive changes. Don't let next year be just another year of repeats. Don't let year be another year of trial and error. Let next year be that you're living in your design. If you really want to live the fulfilling life, don't get it wrong. I'm not saying everybody has to open a business. All I'm trying to do here is ensure that you discover your design, discover who you are. So that way you go ahead and do things that are natural to you and fulfilling to you. It could be you're working a job. You don't have to open a business because that's a different ballgame. But it's amazing if you really want a fortune for life. Absolutely. Opening a business is the way. Stay tuned more. I can do in real time of how to discover your life purpose, how to discover your need. Don't forget to like, comment, and share below. Bye for now. See you soon. Thank you. Don't forget, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.